I guess there will be also kind of competition between the airlines or also benchmarking in that respect. Also from outside, there's a lot of change, low-cost carriers coming in, destroying the market most probably. How and where do you position Austrian in that respect? How do you see it now, and also strategically going forward within not only Lufthansa but overall in Central Eastern Europe in our markets where we operate?
Mhm. Yes, we have a lot of brands, and it it changed a bit from being competitors. That was the case for many years, and it becomes more and more collaborative because the understanding is, well, we have to stick together and we have to act as a team and as a family in order to, be competitive out there in the world. I mean, especially aviation in Europe has become really a tough business. Why? Because, over the last 20 years, yes, there was the rise of the low cost carriers with a totally different business model, super successful. So I admire that a lot. That's very professional. But it's very different to a network airline. So that has given us a hard time. And the other thing is, I mean, the Americans are really strong, but especially the Gulf carriers and Turkish Airlines. I mean, these countries, they have really understood that aviation is a strategic industry where they can drive their also location factors, right? And also the Chinese are really aggressively getting into the market. So the competition is out there and not within the group. And that's, I think, really a basic belief which we have to have. And so, yes, we benchmark each other, but very much these days to better understand what can I learn from each other, which is great. Where do I see Austrian there? Austrian is probably the brand which stands most for hospitality and warmth and warm-heartedness, and also is operationally extremely successful. So we're super stable. We have really high punctuality ratings, all that. And so people really like, so when we look at our customers and how they rate us, we have always very high scores. The downside of Austrian is a bit that we operate here in a market which is quite tough. Yes, Vienna is a big city, but there's little industry. There's not many global headquarters where there would be a lot of business travel, right? So it's a lot of tourists, and we have by far the highest share of low-cost competition at our hub. So we're at about 30%. All the other hubs in Lufthansa Group, it's more like single-digit. So that gives us a hard time to really reach the level of profitability that is actually needed and expected within the group. So again, quality is really high, but we're always challenged on our profitability.
Not because you're here, but I can confirm the quality is great. So I really love to travel. The both of us are traveling quite a lot, Central Eastern Europe, and there is 99% of Austrian going there. And I think hospitality is your cabin crews are great. Whichever day and time we are boarding there, there's everybody's super friendly.
And I was about, because you've mentioned the CEO, at least I always connected Austrian with the airline for Central and Eastern Europe. Also because in my coverage I was, and I'm still very often traveling, and you've mentioned the competition of the other airlines like Turkish and others. This is now a question of maybe personal curiosity. So regionally, what is Austrian standing for?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we still have a very, very strong footprint in Southeast Europe, of course. And we also now, after Corona, we again want to strengthen that and very much looking into that. Basically, when you look at our network, it's 360 in Europe, right? You can't just focus on one area. And of course, in summer, it's a very touristic portfolio all over the Mediterranean, very strong traffic streams, for example, to Spain, but also to Greece. For example, also now the Nordics are coming, and so we always have to look into opportunities. And there's some backbones like Southeast Europe, and always opportunities you just have to take. When it comes to long haul, the focus is clearly on the North Atlantic routes. Why? Because this is quite good business. And also in the joint venture with United, that's a strong business for the whole Lufthansa group, and also quite good business. And it becomes more and more difficult to fly to the east because of the competition with carriers where it becomes more and more tough to compete because they have totally different frameworks. If you look into Turkey, right, they want to push aviation, and they do everything for aviation.
Very much state-driven as well policy to enter the market.
Absolutely. And so in Europe over the last few years, it was a lot about how can we tax aviation more and how can we make the life of aviation harder. Just from one year to the other, just to give you a figure, with the new regulation, just from 24 now to 25, we have 43 million euros higher cost just out of the SAF mandate and the ETS, which got more strict, while we had a result of 76 million euros. So, it's nearly 2/3 of our profit, right? Which is just additional cost now from one year to the other, just out of EU regulation. And that's something, and that's just one piece of regulation. And that's just something Turkish or also the Gulf carriers, they don't have, rather the opposite. They get a lot of support. And this makes it super difficult to fly to the east. And so to the west, this is a bit less because, yes, there are people who are actually from Central Europe first fly to Istanbul to then go via the Atlantic. That is happening quite often. But still, it's not the majority. And so this is why it's easier to go to the west.
Raiffeisen Bank International. Make it happen.